Ina nei, ka mihi atu ki tēnei wahine rangatira, Aroha Mead speaking to the Māori Conservation Map. Put your hands together, kia ora.
Kia ora koutou katoa. So practically all of you who have spoken this morning have been using the term communities, and you've been acknowledging the contribution that communities make to conservation. But in my little group that was formed, the problem that we decided to address was why are communities invisible in national accounting and reporting? So I've taken two quotes from the latest BIM, the briefing to the incoming Minister of Conservation. If you go through DOC annual reports, if you go through any Crown published reports about the state of the environment, the narrative around the contribution of communities is very unsophisticated. It's quite bland, and we just kept thinking, why are we so invisible? And then COVID hit. So we decided within this whole community conservation in Aotearoa that we would begin by looking at the role of Māori in conservation. Who are we? We're a really small group. This is our team. So I co-lead this together with Jason Talianakis from the University of Canterbury, and we're actually called the CAT team. We're the crazy and ambitious team. We were allowed to think about whatever we wanted to think about and dedicate a project, and this was the project we came up with. We recruited 2 early career researchers, Sandy Wakefield, Ngai Tahu Ngāpuhi, but her background is actually is in TV and film production and as an engineer, but also as a side issue, she's a kaupapa Māori researcher, and then Olivia Burge from Manaaki Whenua. So what we decided to do in this is a little journey that we've taken. So in this first stage, because COVID hit, that really influenced how we were going to approach the entire project. So we decided to start as a desktop exercise and to look at those sites that have a public presence on social media or through word of mouth that seem to be Māori community conservation. And through that exercise, we located 433 sites. Once we came out of COVID, we started looking at the protocols of how we would engage in this project going forward. And we always saw it as something that would have to live beyond the challenge. So we went ahead and got a website, and all the way through our planning, it has been where to from here. The biggest part of the job, if you could think of the map as an iceberg, and what we've been doing is below the ocean. We've only just got to the waterline, and it will be the next iteration of this that is what the public sees. But we've done all the foundational building work of designing the questionnaire, thinking through the protocols of what is Māori-led conservation, thinking about how we encourage people to share information, and that is not an easy process to go through. So stage 2 started in 2022. We're a tranche 2 project, and that's when we went through the whole ethics process at the University of Canterbury in order to be able to interview those that we'd identified through stage 1. And then based on an informed consent and interviews, we were able to then begin, mapping. How do I go back? Red. There. So, as one would expect in a map, there's a sort of base set of questions that you would be asking anyone, any community, and we would hope that these get used for the ongoing community conservation in Aotearoa. So the basics around the type of project, the different activities that they're involved in. There's over 40 fields actually around pest control, native planting, reintroducing species, weed eradication, habitat renewal. So it's quite a detailed questionnaire. And then as well as the kind of basic fundamental information, we also developed some fields that were quite specific to Māori activities. So here we went beyond identifying that something is Māori to drilling down to hapu marae level or land trust level or whānau level. And then we had a number of fields based on what we could see from the desktop analysis of what people were doing, of the types of projects, so renewal of Māori, mahinga kai restoration. And we also looked at land tenure and governance management. Within the questionnaire, we also look at funding and people power, so that we're able to determine how much is voluntary, how much is, you know, subsidised through different grants, and what the nature of the funding is. And through all of that, we started the process of mapping. So for each of these areas, when you bring it up, it'll tell you the name of the project, and then there are fields that sit below it that have different access protocols. We were really clear with all the people that we have, all the communities that we have interviewed, that they should only share what they're prepared to share with the public. We don't want any private information, we don't want any sensitive information. It's solely around what they feel comfortable sharing. And so for each of these polygons, as you unpack them, you find out all this other information. So this is an example of being able to identify specific pests and diseases, but for all the fields, of which there's over 40, you can do similar maps for that. Here's another example where you can, the map on the left is all the different governance types of the projects that we've interviewed, and the one on the right is the ones that are Māori governance, solely Māori governance. We're at too early a stage to be able to share findings, but also we're at that point where, knowing that we were going to be winding down, we started shopping around for our host organisation who will take the map forward to the next stage. And here we think it's really important that a host organisation has a kaumātua council or some grouping that is able to help navigate through the next phase, which is what we do with the information that we have in here. So we know that we're sitting on some really valuable information. We want to encourage more Māori communities to participate and to see the value of being able to share in this way. But we also know we need very clear protocols around what we do with the data, how it's managed, how it's packaged and used moving forward. So, indeed, trying very hard to make my 10 minutes. So if you go to the Māori Conservation Map website, you'll see this, which is to tell you we are building something really big. And I'll just announce that we've chosen, of the hosts, we actually looked at a number. We've chosen Te Tira Whakamātaki as the place to host this map going forward. It has the infrastructure there. It has the kaumātua council there. And we feel that that's the best place to move it forward. So a lot of what we've been capturing through this exercise will benefit from being able to link in with the work that many of you are doing. And we look forward to being able to make those connections with you. Kia ora.
Tēnā rawa atu koe. I saw that little thumbs up. Yes, nailed it. Nailed the brief in 10 minutes as well. And I enjoyed that statement, beyond the challenge. It can mean so many things. Tēnā rawa atu koe.